Hello everyone, my name is İnformatov. Today I will walk you step by step through 5 different Python programs. Let's begin the task 1. I will explain what each line does, how the program works, and why each part is important. Let's begin. Let's start with the first program. Uh, Write a program that prompts the user for numbers until they enter the command exit. Upon receiving the exit command, the program should compute and display total count, average, maximum, minimum, and median of numbers. Make sure to allow the user to enter multiple values separated by space in a single input line. Print error messages for invalid inputs and ignore those inputs. Do not forget to use of functions for better organization and code readability. Okay, let's start. We begin with a function called getNumbers. Inside this function, we create an empty list called numbers. This is where we will store every number the user enters. Next, we start a while true loop. This loop keeps running forever until we manually break out of it. Inside the loop, the user is asked to enter a number or type exit to finish. If the user types exit, we immediately break out of the loop and stop asking for numbers. If the user enters anything else, we try to convert the input into a floating point number using float. If that works, we append the number to our list. If it doesn't work, Python raises a value error and we tell the user please enter a valid number. After the user finishes entering numbers, we return to full list. Next, we have a function called calculateStats. Inside this function, we calculate three things: the total by using sum, the count by using len, and the average, which is the total divided by the count. If the list is empty, we avoid dividing by 0 by simply setting the average to 0. Finally, in our main program, we call getNumbers, then we call calculateStats, and finally we print the sum, the count, and the average. That's the complete step-by-step breakdown of the first program. Task 2. Okay, write a program that prompts the user to enter a specified number of integers, then display how many of the numbers are even and how many are odd. The program should also list the even and odd numbers separately. Print error messages for invalid inputs and ignore those inputs. Do not forget to use of functions for better organization and code readability. Okay. Enter n values, then find the minimum, maximum, and range. The second program starts with a function called getValues. The first thing it does is ask how many values do you want to enter. This number determines how many times we will ask the user for input. We then create an empty list called values. Next, we use a for loop that repeats exactly n times. Each time we ask the user to enter a number, convert it to a float and append it to the list. After collecting all numbers, we return the list. Next is calculate minimum maximum range. This function finds the smallest value using minimum, the largest value using maximum, and the range by subtracting the minimum from the maximum. Finally, the main program calls both functions and prints the minimum, maximum, and range. That completes the program 2. Task 3. Develop a program that manages a personal account for tracking incomes and expenses. The program should allow users to avoid incomes and expenses, calculate totals, and display account information. Note: attributes of person account class, first name, last name, incomes, expense, methods, add income, description amount, add expense, description amount, total income, total expense, account balance, and account info. Program 3, this is my code. Program 3 is a simple finance manager. At the top, we create two global lists, incomes and expense. This will store all income entries and all expense entries throughout the program. Then we define a function called addIncome. This function asks the user for an amount, converts it into a float, and appends it to the income list. We also define addExpense, which works the same way except it adds the amount to the expenses list. Next, we have function that calculate total income, which returns the sum of all incomes, total expense, which returns the sum of all expenses, account balance, which subtract expenses from income. We then have account info, which prints all three: total income, total expenses, and the balance. Finally, we reach the main menu loop. This loop keeps showing the menu options: add income, add expense, show account info, and exit. The user enters a choice. If they choose 1, we call addIncome, this addIncome. If they choose 2, we call addExpense. If they choose 3, we show the account information. And if they choose 4, we print goodbye and break out of the loop. The entire program is a great example of menu-driven input, global variables, and functional decomposition. Task 4. Write a program to check whether a given string is a mirrored string. A string is considered mirrored if the first half of the string is equal to the reverse of the second half. If the string has an odd length, ignore the middle character when performing the check. If the string has an even length, check the two equal halves. Do not forget to use of functions for better organization and code readability. The first program defines a function called palindrome. The function begins by converting the word to lowercase. This ensures that uppercase and lowercase letters do not affect the result. Next, the program reverses the word using sling word this. Word ... -1. It then compares the original lowercase word to the reversed version. If both strings are the same, the function returns true, otherwise it returns false. In the main part of the program, we ask the user to enter a word. Then we call is palindrome, and based on true or false, we print whether the word is or is not a palindrome. Is a palindrome or is not a palindrome. That's the explanation of program 4. Task 5. Write a program that prompts the list of full names in the format first, middle, last from a user where middle names may or may not be present. The full name can also contain a prefix and/or a suffix that performs the following operations for each name in the list. If the name contains a middle name, extract only the first letter of the middle name followed by a period. For example, John Michael Doe should be converted to John Mead Doe. If there is a prefix, it should remain unchanged at the beginning of the name. For example, Dr. John Michael Doe should be converted to Dr. John Mead Doe. If there is a suffix, it should remain unchanged at the end of the name. For example, John Michael Doe Jr. should be converted to John Mead Doe Jr. If the name does not contain a middle name, prefix, or suffix, leave it unchanged. Finally, return a list of the process names. Do not forget to use of functions for better organization and code readability. The final program deals with formatting names. We start with a function called format name. Inside this function, we use split to break the full name into a list of words. If the name contains two words or fewer, meaning just a first name and the last name, we simply return the name unchanged. If they are middle names, we separate the name into three parts: the first name, the middle names, and the last name. Next, we turn each middle name into an initial. We take the first letter of each middle name, convert it to uppercase, and add a period. Finally, we rebuild the name using the first name, the main initials, and the last name, and return the formatted version. In the main section of the program, the user is asked to enter their full name, and then we print the nicely formatted name. These 5 programs demonstrate a wide range of Python skills: user input, loops, lists, functions, global variables, string manipulation, and basic calculations. By walking through them step by step, we can clearly see how each part works and how the logic flows from start to finish. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.